The house, a 300k inheritance, and the director's position will be inherited by my husband, the son.
Upon hearing that the lawyer had arrived for Henry's estate proceedings, my son's wife, Aurora, brazenly made her way into our living room, clearly elated. For a long time now,
Is the inheritance ready yet?
she would rush me and her self-centered behavior was evident. She must have been looking forward to this day. Watching her approach the lawyer sitting opposite me, I would have raised my voice in condemnation in the past. But now, I was almost looking forward to what she would say to the lawyer with her back turned to me. Then at her incredibly greedy words, I clapped my hands and laughed out loud. The lawyer's stunned face, coupled with her brazenness, made me laugh even louder. Naturally, not amused, Aurora turned a cold gaze toward me.
Do you really think you're going to get Henry's inheritance? Are you serious?
Her relentless focus on money made me laugh derisively. Pointing to Lucas, who had just arrived,
There's an inheritance right for the son.
she barked. I finally decided to tell her the truth. I am Scarlett. This year, I'm turning 65. As a housewife, I have been supporting my husband Henry, who is a longtime doctor. Even after he became a director, he continued to work as an active doctor. Blessed with a son who followed in Henry's footsteps to become a doctor, I believe we had a fulfilling life. However, he passed away at 68. He worked so hard it seemed like we were born to be together. While I sometimes think his hardships took their toll, at his funeral, I felt he had lived a life without regrets. Many mourned Henry's passing, with colleagues, superiors, and subordinates crowding the funeral. Not just them, but also many former patients expressed their condolences. My life was always about seeing him off to work, but seeing how beloved he was, I finally realized I had made the right choice. During the solemn ceremony, it was Lucas's wife, Aurora, who showed her true colors, seemingly pleased about his death. Lucas is our son's name. Aurora's terrible words during interactions with relatives confirmed it.
Henry was always a workaholic, wasn't he? He probably didn't even have time to spend his money, just hoarding it away.
Hearing that behind my back, I couldn't believe my ears. It seemed she was eagerly anticipating the inheritance during the funeral itself. Perhaps she doesn't know that a son's wife has no inheritance rights, but even so, her behavior was out of place. Seeing her like that, Lucas softly spoke to me.
Mom, I'm sorry. Aurora just doesn't listen.
You don't need to apologize, but if you feel that way, can you be more firm with her?
I knew her attitude from before, even without Lucas telling me. Sighing, I recalled her unbearable behavior. Even when I was busy with funeral arrangements, she came to our house but didn't help at all, not even offering a word of sympathy. Furthermore,
Henry's inheritance must be substantial, right?
she kept bringing up the topic of money.
Scarlett, don't waste his inheritance just because you're his wife, okay?
You came here just to say that?
Well, since you don't have long either, it would be troubling if you spent it all at once.
Her words, as if Henry's estate was her own, filled me with anger and disbelief. Looking down on me, she continued her sarcastic remarks. I don't know when I became so disliked, but her audacity to even comment on someone else's money has left me speechless many times. By the way, Lucas is also a doctor just like his father. He isn't a poor earner, but Aurora has always been obsessed with money.
Aurora would call me saying things like, I'm in trouble because I don't have any money. Or, I'm worried because Lucas's earnings aren't reliable.
She hinted at wanting financial help, so we've never been on good terms. Her reliance on Henry's inheritance only added to my frustration.
Lucas's income is really unstable, We can hardly afford any luxuries.
Well, why don't you go to work and contribute to the household?
A wife working? That's unthinkable. You're lucky, living freely off your husband's earnings.
No matter what I said, her attitude only got worse. It seemed like she wanted to make fun of me, even if it meant disrespecting her own husband, Lucas. Her disrespectful behavior towards her family and her refusal to acknowledge her actions really bothered me.
Yes, I live comfortably thanks to my husband. Maybe you should show a little respect for your husband too?
I would if there was anything to respect. I'm off to get my nails done. Don't forget about the inheritance, okay?
After saying whatever she wanted, she left. Her stormy behavior made me worry about how Lucas is treated at home. But her selfishness didn't stop there. Even during the inheritance proceedings, her misdeeds escalated. After the funeral, she would come over,
Is the inheritance ready yet?
repeating like a parrot. Despite being told that the process takes time, she'd soon forget and start pressing me again. Even after being told she had no authority, she ignored it. I wasn't sure if she planned to take Lucas's share or had some other scheme, but she was convinced she would receive a large sum. Probably expecting a share from him, I wouldn't have interfered, but Aurora didn't stop there. She even tried to take valuables from our house.
Hey, that's my necklace. Don't just put it on.
What's wrong with it? We're family, let's get along.
I refuse to get along with a thief.
Then consider it an advance on the inheritance. I've been patient with you.
Despite my protests, she wouldn't listen. After she took a necklace Henry gave me without permission, I stopped letting her into the house.
Lucas kept apologizing, saying sorry about Aurora, but he never stopped her. Not that I expected him to.
I had no time to mourn the loss of Henry's gift, as Aurora's malicious harassment continued. When I refused her entry, she complained to her friends. The neighbors who were kind to me would say with a wry smile, "That must be hard." I was left wondering why I had to be so disliked. The last straw was the strange envelope in our mailbox. It was creepy to find an opened envelope addressed to Lucas's family. In retaliation for not letting her into the house, Aurora had been putting her credit card bills in our mailbox. The bill listing lavish dinners and outrageous online shopping shocked me. I called Lucas, ready to give him a piece of my mind. "Hey, I found a credit card bill addressed to Aurora in our mailbox. What's this about?"
Man, don't ask me.
"And she seems to be living quite lavishly. She's always talking about income. Is that okay?"
Oh yes, I was about to tell you, but I'm in a real pinch right now. Mom, sorry, but could you pay that for me?
Perhaps influenced by Aurora, he said something outrageous. I was left speechless, shaking my head in disbelief. Why would he think I should help him and his wife? His wife steals and he can't even return what she took. His attitude, only remembering what's convenient for him, made me express my dissatisfaction. "You two don't need any more help from us. At your age, why are you still burdening your parents?"
But you know, there's Dad's inheritance, right? I thought you'd help us since you can't possibly spend it all.
The audacity. You two really are a perfect match. I want nothing more to do with you. I raised my voice over the phone and hung up, throwing the bill into the trash. The thought that Aurora deliberately put it in our mailbox to make me pay made me dizzy. Could it be they're really planning to get the inheritance? "What should I do, Henry?" Holding Henry's photo, I asked out loud. My anger and disappointment towards Lucas and Aurora mixed together, leaving me unsure whether to be angry or sad. I wondered if it was even safe to proceed with the inheritance. Amidst my doubts, I found strength in myself. They'll get what they deserve. Despite their terrible behavior, I continued the proceedings alone, frustrated. The lifeline came in the form of Henry's will, which contained something special. Reading it, I decided to get back at Lucas and Aurora. "You were on my side after all, weren't you?" I regained my calm, holding the will. I wouldn't just sit back and let them walk all over me. I clenched my fist.
I regained my calm, holding the will. I wouldn't just sit back and let them walk all over me. I clenched my fist, determined to give them a taste of their own medicine. The thought of retaliation made me forget about Aurora's bill. I had no intention of doing anything about it, but perhaps realizing I had ignored it, Aurora called this time. Despite me saying the inheritance proceedings weren't finished, she ranted, accusing me of hoarding it for myself.
Scarlet, you are holding on to the inheritance. I'll wait a bit longer, so please take care of the payment for the card I left in your mailbox.
Stop joking. Why would you think you're entitled to any money?
Why not? Lucas is Henry's son, right?
She said laughingly, as if mocking my ignorance. Indeed, Lucas inherits as a son. Generally speaking, that's true. But I hadn't yet told them the crucial part of Henry's will. I knew they wouldn't figure it out themselves, always thinking only what's convenient. I eagerly awaited the perfect moment for my revenge. Then the time finally came. That was when I explained the situation to my lawyer and made arrangements for him to cooperate at the end of the process. After discussing with the lawyer and finalizing the procedures, I called Lucas. Expecting just a routine update, Aurora joyfully came to our house. Not suspecting a thing, she walked in through the unlocked door, and I almost laughed seeing her.
Finally, I was getting tired of waiting. Scarlett was dragging her feet on the procedures, refusing to hand over the inheritance.
What brings you here, Aurora?
Is this gentleman the lawyer? I'm Aurora, Henry's son's wife.
Ignoring me, she walked towards the lawyer sitting opposite me. I used to react with frustration and anger, but now I just waited patiently for her to speak. I was even looking forward to what she would say to the lawyer Thompson.
The house, a $300,000 inheritance, and the director's position will be inherited by my husband, the son.
Yes.
At her ridiculously greedy statement, I couldn't help but clap my hands and burst into laughter. Thompson's shocked expression only fueled my laughter at her shamelessness. Of course, Aurora, looking displeased, turned a cold gaze toward me.
What are you laughing at? Are you upset about losing the inheritance? $300,000. Quite a figure you've come up with. Where did you get that number?
Scarlett, I did warn you, didn't I? Don't act recklessly, just because you're not long for this world.
The nerve to say such things to a relative. I've been warning you, you have no right to any of it. Wearing the necklace she brazenly took from me, she glared at me accusingly. But I had no intention of yielding to her anymore. I clenched my fist, standing firm against the greedy Aurora. Pointing to Lucas, who had just arrived.
The son has a right to the inheritance.
She barked. I decided it was time to tell them the truth.
You think you're entitled to any inheritance? Are you sure, Lucas?
What? Why not?
You really have no idea. Seriously?
Are you still talking about that? I thought that was settled long ago.
Settled? How can you think it's settled when you haven't made any amends?
What are you talking about? What's that about?
Aurora seemed completely clueless, as if she was an outsider. She still couldn't remember what she had done. I began to explain, intending to jog their memories. Lucas married Aurora a few years ago. But just before that, he was married to another woman with whom he even had a child. Despite having a family, Lucas had an affair with Aurora and ended up marrying her. The appalling truth came to light when Lucas couldn't pay the divorce settlement and child support to his ex-wife and begged Henry for help.
I never thought you'd be this unreasonable. What were you thinking?
I had no choice if I wanted to marry Aurora.
Then make amends for your irresponsibility yourself. I won't pay a cent.
Come on, a little help won't hurt, right? Dad, you're a doctor. You must have plenty of money.
Hearing that, Henry was on the verge of exploding in anger. Lucas started making excuses about needing money for their new life and wedding expenses.
Fine, I'll pay instead. My grandson shouldn't suffer because of a father like you.
Don't talk like that, it's rude.
In return, I won't give you a penny from now on. Don't expect to get anything from my inheritance.
At the time, Lucas didn't take Henry's words seriously, thinking they were just said in the heat of the moment. But Henry, true to his word, family that abandons their own doesn't deserve celebration.
He said so, and didn't even attend their wedding.
Dad, come on. You might need us for care in the future. We're family. Let's come together a bit.
I don't need it. I won't be bothered by the likes of you.
Knowing his parents were well off, Lucas hinted at future care needs to indirectly ask for help. But unyielding, Henry left his wishes in his will. The will explicitly stated that everything should go to me, his wife, and the child of Lucas's ex-wife. Being strict and traditional, Henry made sure not even a cent would go to Lucas's new family. I realized at the time, Henry's lawyer showed me the will he had kept as we were handling the funeral arrangements. Remembering the past anger, I was deeply grateful to Henry for leaving such instructions.
Therefore, Lucas is Henry's son. You also have no rights to his inheritance.
As the lawyer Thompson read Henry's will, Lucas and Aurora were stunned. I took the opportunity to address Aurora.
By the way, the things you took from our house, you considered them in advance on the inheritance, right? As you heard, you have no rights, so you'll return them, won't you?
I pointed at the necklace she was wearing on that day. She glared at me, clearly displeased. But in front of Thompson, she couldn't say much and reluctantly threw it at me.
I didn't know about it. I came here today, thinking I'd get Henry's inheritance.
Oh, really? When you came to announce your marriage, you were so smug, saying you were more appealing than me. I thought you knew everything.
I remembered how angry I felt at her attitude back then. I used to think Lucas was deceived by such a woman, but now I realize they are a fitting couple.
I will get the inheritance, and the director's position at the hospital. If there's no successor, they'll be in trouble, right?
Unfortunately for you, that position has already been handed over to a capable subordinate, Manla.
Why not? It's normal to pass it on to children, isn't it?
You reap what you sow for doing the abnormal, don't you?
Desperate for anything from the inheritance, Aurora turned to Thompson, almost pleading.
What can I get then?
She demanded. However, Thompson calmly dismissed her, stating that the will left nothing for them.
This is unbelievable. There's no way this is right.
Is that so? What will you do then? Sue us? If you want to add to your embarrassment, feel free.
Seemingly deeply affected by my dismissal, Aurora stormed out with a red face. Watching Lucas follow her out, I quietly celebrated with the necklace in my hand. After that, Aurora never approached me again, and the proceedings ended smoothly. I was worried they might try to contact the grandson, but Lucas never did. He couldn't even afford child support, so there were no issues. Now, Lucas and Aurora are reportedly in trouble because the inheritance didn't come through. Aurora even accused Lucas, "I married you thinking we'd get a fortune," putting their marriage in jeopardy. Lucas once asked me on the phone, "Give me part of the inheritance you received, or transfer the house." Of course, I had no reason to comply.
Talk in your sleep, I said, and hung up immediately.
Disappointed in his inadequacies, I recently received a pleasant surprise. That was a letter from Lucas's ex-wife with a photo of our blood-related grandson, updating us on their family and expressing gratitude.
I was fortunate to have such a wonderful in-laws, it read.
Our grandson seemed to be living happily with his mother and new father. Mother and new father. Delighted with the letter, I read it aloud in front of Henry's photo. Though Lucas's disloyalty was disappointing, I was pleased to report to Henry that our grandson was doing well.